I'm curious to know, what do you see in yourself that makes you a successful entrepreneur? What are the qualities you have that help you succeed?
Yeah, as you were talking to, like, just in terms of like the choice or even like the skills, one thing that comes to mind that I always say is nobody goes to college to study balancing your checkbook, right? That's
Right.
that's a life skill, and we all agree that that's a life skill, and everyone should have it, right? And my thought with entrepreneurship is that if you are exceptional, or sometimes lucky or maybe sometimes unlucky, right? Circumstances. But especially if you're exceptional at anything, you're probably going to have to be an entrepreneur at it. So if you're a really good lawyer, you might end up starting your own law firm, right? If you're a
Hmm.
really good doctor and a leader in your field, you might end up starting your own practice. And so I actually think that being an entrepreneur is more of a life skill than it is a career path, right? Because you can give me, what are artists? What are professional athletes? At the end of the day,
Right.
they're entrepreneurs and they're
Yeah.
managing a business, right? Some well and some not so well. And when you see people getting taken advantage of, partly it's because they have deferred that life skill to someone else, right? And so
Yeah.
I would say that for me, because I see entrepreneurship as a life skill, maybe that's it, right? I never saw it as optional. I saw it
Yeah.
as what we need to survive, and especially having been, an immigrant and a child of immigrants in the U.S., it becomes very clear that it's a survival skill, right? And I
Yeah,
think
for
that's what
sure.
it is. It's this sense of it's not optional, right?
I remember hearing a speaker talking about something similar, and he actually said it's not just a life skill, it's also a way of holding an identity. He said there's a real
Mm-hmm.
difference between somebody who says, for instance, I'm a dentist,
Mm-hmm.
to somebody who says, I'm an entrepreneur who practices dentistry.
Right.
It really changes how you see yourself, how you identify yourself, what becomes possible for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I
before I
think it's
heard
both
him,
and.
well, I
But
think it is both, exactly, both and.
yeah.
Before I heard him, I would have said I'm probably going to end up as a dentist, not an actual dentist, but something with that type of label. And
Mm-hmm.
him opening up that pitch, going, actually, an entrepreneur is a way of showing up in the world. You still get to be an expert, but you get to think a little broadly about it as well. Was a very
Mm-hmm.
liberating moment for me, a giving of permission that I hadn't really heard before.
Yeah, and for people who are in corporate jobs, I think it's also liberating because they're using that life skill, whether they're within or without a corporate environment. You can't turn it off, right?
Exactly. You'll be joining a small but mighty group of people when you hit the subscribe button, just down there.